A white dermatologist, Dr. Travis Morell, has filed a lawsuit against the Find a Black Doctor directory, claiming he was discriminated against after being denied a listing because he is not Black. The directory was created to help Black patients find Black physicians, with supporters saying it addresses long-standing gaps in healthcare access and trust.
The Find a Black Doctor directory is being sued by a white doctor, a white dermatologist in Colorado, Dr. Travis Morell, because he's saying that the directory is discriminatory. Oh, wow. In 2022, I had a severe reaction to the medication Lamictal. I got the rare dress syndrome. I'm talking, my eyes were yellow, my skin was jaundiced. I had a fever of 104 going into septic shock, mind you. I went to a hospital 3 times, and 3 times the same white doctor denied admitting me, telling me to take a Benadryl and take a break. Take a Benadryl and take a break when I am getting worse by the day. I had a full body rash from the top of my scalp to literally the bottom of my feet. It hurt me to walk. I had to beg to be admitted. And when I was finally admitted, they realized how sick I actually was. Do you know that same white doctor came to my bedside after I had been admitted and put on oxygen and apologized to me for not listening to me? Because, quote, he didn't know what to look for on my skin, on Black skin. He'd only seen what was in his textbooks on white skin. It wasn't enough to listen to his Black patient. It wasn't enough to check my vitals. It wasn't enough to see that clearly something was wrong. I ended up being hospitalized for over 30 days. Like I said, on oxygen. I almost died. And had that been caught sooner, it wouldn't have been that bad off. I literally almost died because of a white doctor not listening to me. And that is not the only example I can give of white doctors putting my life and my health at risk. Because Black people in this country, our health is not taken seriously, especially Black women. Black women still have the highest maternal mortality rate. So while this white doctor is complaining that he feels left out, we are busy dying. Maybe stop killing us when we go see you for help, and we'll think about coming back to you. Until then, I will continue to have all Black providers. My life will not be risked again because a white doctor refuses to listen to me. This temper tantrum this man is throwing is absolutely vile, because the fact of the matter is, if we Black people were getting the proper health care and attention when we go see these doctors, we wouldn't have a Find a Black Doctor directory. It wouldn't have to exist. Just like every other program that is exclusively for us. If we weren't excluded somewhere else, we wouldn't have to have them. So instead of fighting against the powers that be that put us at risk, you want to throw a temper tantrum about how you're not included in a directory?
Many Black patients report feeling unheard or dismissed in medical settings, which has led to a demand for culturally competent care and spaces where they feel more understood.
Y'all, a white Colorado dermatologist, Dr. Morell here, and an anti-DEI medical group called Do No Harm are suing the creator of Find a Black Doctor, claiming the directory violates federal civil rights law by only listing Black physicians. The lawsuit was filed on May 19th in Manhattan Federal Court. Y'all, this directory is a resource that was created to help patients, particularly Black patients, find culturally competent care in a medical system that we all know has historically failed us. Do No Harm framed it as robbing doctors of advertising exposure. But what they're really doing, y'all, is using civil rights language to dismantle a tool built because of civil rights violations. This is the playbook they're using, y'all. Take the language of equity and flip it. Find a Black Doctor isn't excluding any patients. It's not a hospital. It's not an ER. It's a directory built by Black people for Black people to solve a problem. And now someone is mad that they can't be listed in it. Y'all, I will continue to follow this story. I tell you, the audacity, the entitlement, and the timing. Look who's in office, y'all. It's probably going to be a lot more of this to come. But yeah, let's just stay aware. Let's share this. And hopefully they can get a great legal team, the Black Directory, to defend them on this.
Being black is such a crazy experience because you'll just be minding your business and here come people trying to ruin your day. A white Colorado doctor has teamed up with a conservative legal group to sue the online directory Find a Black Doctor for discriminating against physicians based on their race. The lawsuit accuses the website of robbing non-black physicians of advertising exposure and promoting racial concordance. Studies show that over 50% of medical professionals have false beliefs about black biology, and black women are 3 times more likely to die from maternity death. Yet somehow, when we are building up our own communities, pulling ourselves by our bootstraps, they go out of their way to bother us.
There is a white doctor in Colorado who got together with some conservative attorneys and they're suing Find Black Doctors. There's a platform where black people can go and find black doctors. They're suing for racial discrimination. The whole thing is gaslighting. The stuff that they tried to use to build the building blocks in order to create the equality, they're saying those steps are racist against white people. But they're not talking about the reason why that's a thing, to where that it is statistically proven that black people going to black doctors have better outcomes. Statistically proven that the longest trope in medical racism has been a thing since the beginning of time. And part of it back in the day was black people don't feel pain. Black people have a higher pain tolerance. So you've seen even in practices to where black people were misdiagnosed or not given the proper care or medicine, or certain symptoms that they've been showing has been ignored, or how black women have a higher mortality rate in giving birth than every other demographic of women. There's a lot of things that are factually proven that black people going to black doctors reduces a lot of different risks. All of this has been factored and taken consideration. So that right there is the reason why we have a platform like this. And this goes to show exactly anytime that black people start to get something, that's when it's an issue. Asians have their own database where they go to for Asian doctors. Jewish people have their own wings. They have their own hospitals that they go to. But nobody cares about that.
Supporters of the platform argue that it is not about excluding doctors, but about improving outcomes for black patients.
Good morning. I'm still unhinged, and I did a little bit more digging about the article that I just shared like a few minutes ago. The dermatologist that is suing, his name is Dr. Travis Morell, and he comes from Grand Junction, Colorado. Guess what is the percentage of black people in Grand Junction, Colorado? What is the percentage? 10%? 5%? Nah. 0.8%. 0.8%. 0.8%. And yet he's talking about that he shows he doesn't care about the race. Come on, bro. Come on. This is just stinky bullshit. My God. To quote Miss Dominique, my God, today, I said what I said. I'm going to get whatever's coming to me or whatever I deserve regardless.
FindABlackDoctor.com is getting sued. And we knew this shit was coming. And if you've used this website, of course I have, we knew it was coming because they have made it largely in part trying to find anything that has anything to, that describes race or whatever as a factor to say, oh, well, it's not fair that white doctors. You all have basically did medical research biasly, largely in part to say that black people do not feel the same amount of pain as a white person. That is documented. That is historical. It is not, something that was made up. It is absolutely in medical journals. It is still being taught in medical schools. There's still so many students that are saying they are still being taught this. And being someone who has experienced it, the fact of the matter is, if you're upset that you could not be a part of this, but you still, have patience, what is your issue? Now, here's the thing. Dr. Morell, who is a dermatologist out of Colorado. Now, Colorado only has like 3 doctors listed on the findablackdoctor.com. But at the point that he did this or whatever, there was no dermatologist on here. And of course, you know, his thing is saying that the reason why his application was denied was because largely in part because he's white. It's findablackdoctor.com. Because black people are looking for black doctors. You want to know why they have to look for black doctors? Because largely in part, they're not listened to. You want to know how we know that we're not listened to? Wasn't listened to during twice of my pregnancies with my husband before y'all try to get in my comments and act stupid. Now, here's the thing. In his little bio on his little Twitter account, he's talking about, a physician's compassion, doesn't have anything to do with race. It has a lot to do with race. It has a lot to do with race because you're compassionate towards certain patients is a lot different in a lot of cases. Now, of course, I did try to go look at the reviews for him or whatever. So I couldn't really find a lot of them that were, people who had actually seen him, other than one that basically gave him 1 star or whatever. And this was like 2 years ago. So I'm going to say that, sir, and it looks like that man was white. And this was like largely in part before he launched this lawsuit. So if people who look like you are giving you 1 star, what the fuck you think somebody that looks like me? Now, before y'all be like, oh, you got, no. Because let me explain something to you. My Pete, lovely white lady. Love that lady down. And when I say I love that lady down, I'm talking anytime she has had to switch practices, guess who sought her out? Because she couldn't tell people where she was going. And she was always like, I know you're going to always find me. You're damn right I am. You're damn right. But she could not be my OB. Now, the fact that this lady could not be my OB, I understood that it was my job to go find someone who looked like me. Because again, when I didn't, I had issues. Now, that's not to say that there are not, good white doctors out here. But when you have been in a situation where it's a life or death situation and that person does not show you the compassion that you should be shown as a patient, largely in part because medical schools, again, teach on the basis of black people don't have the same pain tolerance as a white person, meaning their pain tolerance is higher. Baby, my pain tolerance is not. It is not. This is where we are saying that black people will never be alone. We'll never be lonely. Because why? There's always going to be a Dr. Morell somewhere upset because he can't insert himself into spaces that no one is looking for you. And here's the thing. Now he's also requiring this lawsuit that they accept him onto the website. I feel like they should. And everybody's going to look at you and skip right on over your little ass name. Because the fuck? Because how you're a dermatologist, your shit looks ashy. But that's a whole nother situation. Your aura's ashy, you're ashy. It is what it is. We saw this with the lady that had the funding for black businesses. We knew this stuff was coming. Like I said, we can't have anything. We can't go to the doctor and be treated fairly in a lot of cases. And now when we have something that is absolutely available so that we can find folks that, embody our same compassion and principles and just existence, that's, we can't have that either. America's not a real place. And the fact of the matter is, we should not even need it to have something like this.
They point to studies showing major racial disparities in healthcare. including higher maternal mortality rates among Black women and improved outcomes when patients are treated by doctors who share their background.
Conservative legal group just sued a directory called Find a Black Doctor. They used the Civil Rights Act of 1866, a law created to protect Black people after slavery, to do it. And their central argument is that racial concordance, the documented science showing that Black patients get better outcomes with Black doctors, is supposedly a debunked myth. Let's talk about every single thing wrong with that. Find a Black Doctor is an online directory founded by Dr. Dina Strawn, a board-certified dermatologist that connects patients with Black physicians and dentists. On May 19, 2026, a conservative nonprofit called Do No Harm filed a federal lawsuit against the directory, arguing that limiting listings to Black physicians violates civil rights law. Their plaintiff, Dr. Travis Morell, a white dermatologist from Colorado, applied to the directory in December 2025 and was not accepted because he is not Black. Do No Harm says that is discrimination. Now let's talk about why that argument falls apart completely. I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear. Black physicians represent less than 6% of practicing doctors in America. Despite Black people making up 13% of the population, that gap did not happen by accident. For decades, Black physicians were excluded from hospitals, denied admitting privileges, and shut out of professional advancement because the American Medical Association allowed its state and local medical societies to bar Black physicians from membership until 1968. Black doctors had to build their own medical associations, they had to build their own hospitals, and they had to build their own networks from scratch. The Find a Black Doctor website is a direct descendant of that history. Now, Do No Harm calls racial concordance a pernicious and debunked myth. Here is what science actually says. A 2022 National Bureau of Economic Research study found that increasing the share of Black providers led to a 15% decline in Black patient mortality. A Stanford University randomized clinical trial among 1,300 Black men in Oakland found that Black men assigned to Black doctors increased their uptake of diabetes screenings by 47% and cholesterol screenings by 72%, and that Black doctors could reduce the Black-white gap in cardiovascular mortality by 19%. Stanford and the National Bureau of Economic Research called it science. They used a law written to protect freed slaves to sue a directory created to correct centuries of medical exclusion. Find a Black Doctor is not discrimination. It is documentation of what happens when a system fails a community for generations. Less than 6% is not equity. It is evidence, and no lawsuit changes that.
They also highlight the relatively low percentage of Black physicians compared to the population. The lawsuit argues that the directory violates civil rights laws by limiting access based on race and restricting doctors' visibility and professional opportunities.
Hello, friends and followers. Welcome to today's edition of What It Looked Like When They Snatched Back the 40 Acres and a Mule. All right, in today's news, conservative group sues Find a Black Doctor directory over discrimination. The anti-DEI group believes other non-white doctors should be included. Of course they do. Of course they do, because they believe they should be included in everything, in everywhere for everybody. But let's get into the story. From the article, a white Colorado dermatologist and a conservative medical nonprofit have sued the creator of Find a Black Doctor, arguing the directory unlawfully excludes non-Black physicians. The lawsuit, filed on May 19th in federal court in Manhattan, says the site's race-based listing policy violates federal civil rights law. The lawsuit was brought by Dr. Travis Morell and Do No Harm, a group that opposes diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the medical field per Black enterprise. According to the filing, the directory limits eligibility to, quote, Black physicians and dentists in active clinical practice, unquote, and denied Morell's application because he is white. By excluding qualified doctors based solely on their skin color, Find a Black Doctor indefensibly robs some physicians of valuable advertising exposure and deprives patients of the opportunity to discover capable providers without regard to race, said in a statement from the organization. Now, there's still some more to the article that I'm about to get into. Just give me a second. But let me get this straight. So the patient is looking for a Black doctor, and somehow you allege that the site is depriving them the chance of finding a not Black doctor because your not Black ass is listed on there? I don't think you understood the purpose. Or maybe you did, but you know what? Just hang on. We're gonna get through this. Continuing in the article, Find a Black Doctor describes itself as a resource for patients seeking Black doctors, part of a broader effort to improve access and trust in care for Black communities. Quote, having access to Black doctors has shown to improve health outcomes, particularly for Black men, unquote, a mission statement shared on Find a Black Doctor says. Continuing the quote, although African Americans make up approximately 13% of the U.S. population, they are only 4% of practicing physicians, end quote. The lawsuit challenges that mission, saying the platform blocks non-Black doctors from advertising exposure and promotes, quote, racial concordance, unquote, the idea that patients may do better with doctors of the same race. It also refers to the more recent case AAER versus Fearless Fund Management. The lawsuit against the Fearless Fund, an organization that supports Black women-owned businesses, made national headlines after the organization was accused of discrimination against other groups by the American Alliance of Equal Rights in 2023. Both parties agreed to a settlement a year later. Just another quick commentary break. So, you force us to go and see y'all. Not us, y'all, right? And we do that, and you treat us like shit. So we say, okay, fuck it. We gonna, go to our own. And we ain't got the Underground Railroad no more. So, we use the little wang dangs and the technology that's available. And now you spinning the block saying, no, you still got to see us. Just take your chances. Just pray on it and hope, that Jim Crow Jesus will give you a good one of us to, treat you right. That's how I read it. You know what? Sorry. Let's see. That last part of the article. Hold up. Lastly, many supporters of the Find a Black Doctor directory say it helps patients find culturally responsive care and navigate a system where Black patients have historically faced discrimination. Critics argue that excluding doctors by race creates a new form of bias. God damn it. Do No Harm is asking the court to stop the platform's directory from considering race in its application process and to force acceptance of Morell's application, according to the complaint. Quote, Do No Harm and Dr. Morell seek all of the same relief except that only Dr. Morell seeks compensatory and punitive damages. List all of these hoes, but get this one hoe the money is what they say. So I just be breaking it down in my head and everything, right? So, to sum and to wrap this up, this is the culmination, okay, the fruition of the long con, okay, that civil rights actually has been in this country for this entire time, in my opinion. Okay, the 40 acres and a mule that I started this video out with, if you remember, if you recall, okay, was the promise of compensation on the road to equity for formerly enslaved people once they gained their freedom. You're like, hey, listen, sorry we did that shit to you. Here you go. Okay. And then that was snatched back. Like, I got you, bitch. I am firmly believing at this point, same thing with civil rights. Okay. It's all a game, all a scam. And the thing has been, what did they get out of it? Like, what was the point? All of our labor and compliance from the 60s until now. Cause they're like, yeah, these niggas is getting a little unruly. Throw the civil rights at them, not to calm their ass down. And now they're like, yeah, we tired of playing this game. Just, fuck it, rile them back up. And here we go. Yeah, that's some wild shit, diabolical playing. Yeah, they got some patience though. But I firmly believe we do too. Stay the course, good people. Stay the course. There's some bullshit. And I tell you what, we take the website down, baby. But we ain't walking in there to go see by none of y'all, because we very well know the game is afoot.
It is backed by an anti-DEI medical advocacy group that claims race-based listings are inherently discriminatory.
Shannon, my name is Olivia. So family, the white physician that's suing the white find the black doctor, he's just looking for trouble. Okay. Now we know that over the years, like hundreds over the years, that black people don't actually feel safe in the hands of white doctors. We've seen a couple of videos every day. We've seen a couple of news. We've seen a black woman who's in labor and she was ignored. We've seen patients go to the hospital to meet with the doctors and they will be ignored. So we've seen several, lots of incidents like this, right? So you coming out to sue this find the black doctor, you're looking for trouble. You're just looking for something to put out there. Okay, black patients have never ever been comfortable. They've never ever been safe in the hands of these white physicians. Never. They're not coming there because they don't want to, patronize you guys. They don't want to come and meet you, meet a white doctor. They're not coming there because they're not safe. They've had lots of, experiences, tragic one at that, where their lives is at risk. Okay, so this Find a Black Doctor is a website that was created for them to feel safe, for them to feel comfortable. So you suing them, you're just looking for trouble. Okay, you're looking for trouble. I saw a video of a black guy saying, yeah, that's good that it's good that he's suing them, because if the table is turned around, like, black people will also sue them. I'm kind of surprised to hear that from a black person, knowing full well what black people have passed through in the hands of these white physicians. Like, I'm seriously surprised to hear that from a black person. Let me leave you guys to watch the end, okay, family? Hear what more people have to say concerning this, white physician. And just drop your thoughts in the comment section if you have anything to share with us, okay? I will be glad to read them, all right? And don't go anywhere. I'll come back with more commenters. Stay with me, family.
However, defenders of the directory say it is simply a resource tool, not a healthcare institution, and was created in response to systemic inequality rather than to exclude anyone.
A white physician is suing a directory designed to help Black patients find Black doctors. And honestly, this lawsuit says a lot about who is still practicing medicine in this country. A Colorado physician, Dr. Travis Morell, alongside the conservative anti-DEI organization Do No Harm, is suing the Find a Black Doctor directory. The platform was created to help Black patients connect with Black physicians and dentists in a healthcare system where racial disparities are still very real. And to be clear, this directory is not excluding anyone from receiving care. It is simply giving patients an option to see clinicians they may feel more comfortable with based on shared lived experiences, cultural understanding, or trust. And that matters more than some people want to admit. Study after study has shown that patients often have better communication, stronger trust, and sometimes even better health outcomes when they feel understood by their healthcare clinicians. This is especially important for communities that have historically been mistreated by the medical system. As a nurse, what concerns me most is not just this lawsuit, it's the mindset behind it. Because there are absolutely medical professionals in this country who genuinely believe race does not affect healthcare outcomes, patient experiences, diagnosis delays, pain management, maternal mortality, or trust in medicine, despite decades of evidence proving otherwise. And that is dangerous as hell. And when people hear Find a Black Doctor, some immediately frame it as discrimination instead of asking why so many Black patients feel the need to search for culturally safe care in the first place. That reaction alone says a lot. If a clinician cannot acknowledge that bias, discrimination, historical mistreatment, and systemic inequities impact patient care, then that bias follows directly into the exam room. Patients are not seeking culturally competent care for fun. They are doing it because many people from marginalized communities have already experienced being ignored, dismissed, stereotyped, undertreated, or harmed by healthcare systems. There's this ridiculous idea that color blindness fixes racism. It doesn't. Because pretending race does not impact healthcare has never protected patients. It has protected systems from accountability. A healthcare clinician who understands different cultural backgrounds, communication styles, and barriers to care is often better equipped to build trust with all kinds of patients, not just patients who look like them. This conversation should not be controversial. Patients deserve to feel safe, respected, and heard when they seek medical care.
The case has sparked a broader debate about fairness, discrimination, and equity-based initiatives.
Not enough people are talking about this very important story that is taking place right now with the Find a Black Doctor directory. But you know what we're going to do here at BDS? Talk about it. And my OG followers already know, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. If you're not following the Black Death Society, please make sure to do so. This is a space in which pop culture money and real life meet. If any story blows up on this page, I hope it's this one. The man behind me is Dr. Travis Morell, and he is a dermatologist who works in Grand Junction, Colorado, and he works with the practice Mountain West Dermatology. Now, Dr. Morell here, along with the nonprofit organization Do No Harm, is suing the Find a Black Doctor directory, stating that the directory is discriminating against physicians by limiting listings to Black medical professionals only. Dr. Morell and the Do No Harm organization is suing the founder of the Find a Black Doctor directory, Dr. Dina Stratton, who is also a dermatologist. Dr. Morell, along with the organization Do No Harm, are both listed as plaintiffs in the case, and they are saying that the Find a Black Doctor directory is promoting racial concordance. Basically, that is the idea that patients receive better care from doctors of the same race. Shame on you, Dr. Morell, and the Do No Harm organization, who, in my opinion, is actually doing a lot of harm, or at least attempting to. The fact that you are a doctor out here trying to eliminate a safe space for Black people to receive medical treatment under the conditions that which they choose to receive them is absolutely abhorrent. Now, something tells me you already know this, but you simply do not care. But just in case you do not, there is a lot of mistrust in the Black community when it comes to seeking medical care. And to ensure that people feel comfortable receiving care from individuals who look like them, who they may actually feel safer with, directories such as the Find a Black Doctor directory was established. And more so, the medical system in this country, to a certain extent, has traumatized, brutalized. We're not even going to talk about how the treatment of gynecology was basically founded off of experiments that took place on enslaved Black women. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the Tuskegee experiment. We're not going to talk about so many other things that I do not have time to list out. But the fact that you are trying to eliminate a safe space for Black people to go to seek medical care from the individuals that they choose to represent and treat them is absolutely disgusting. As always, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this lawsuit that has been filed by Dr. Travis Morell, who works for the Mountain West Dermatology Practice along with the Do No Harm organization? Do you think that they are doing harm, or do you think that they are just fighting for the freedom of all? Sound off in the comments. If you found value in this post, please make sure to like as well as share.
Public opinion remains divided as the lawsuit raises deeper questions about race, medicine, and representation.